Your new universal plunge audio in-ear monitors. This is the newly designed case. It's actually a 3D printed case in the same material as the monitors themselves. Super resilient, nicely made in Canada. Integrated hinge. It's all printed, all in the same print. It's super durable, super strong. You can wash the case in hot soapy water if you get earwax and etc. In it. So I did put a couple of little arrows because the neodymium N55 magnets are pretty strong, so sometimes it can be confusing as to how it opens. But these two little arrows point up. Grab thumb on the bottom, thumb on the top, pops open. There are 8 magnets. It holds together really well. I wanted to do that so if you drop them on the floor, the case does not open and your monitors do not fall out of the case. So here's your new monitors. Right and left, and your tips. So there's 2 different kinds of tips. One are the ASLA Exlastec tips, I think they're called, and the SpinFit CP500 silicone tips. The ASLA tips are kind of a 3D flex printed. They'll warm up and sort of take the shape of your ear. They fit really well for stage use as they warm up. But it does take a minute or so to get them to warm up and get them inserted correctly. If they feel a little tight, just let them warm up and work the monitors in. The SpinFit ones go in a lot easier and quicker. They won't conform to the shape of your ear. They're a silicone. They'll stay like that. The ASLAs will eventually deform to the shape of your ear. So don't worry if they deform. If they deform, you can put them in boiling water for 30 seconds and take them out, let them dry in a paper towel, and they'll go back to pretty much their original shape. But they do need to be replaced every few months, I would say. Cleaning tool goes in the slot into the middle. Your new monitors. One of the, I always put the SpinFit CP500 small tips on because they seem to kind of fit everybody initially. If you have a larger ear canal, they're going to go in really easy, and you might notice they're fairly loose. So the first thing that troubleshooting thing is that if you're not an experienced user of in-ear monitors, if you have a fit or seal issue, you will lose all bass response. So if you put your new monitors in your ears and you have no bass response, it is a fit issue. So you need to look back on the fit videos that I just posted, get them inserted properly. If they are still missing bass response, you need to move up a level on tips. Move up to a larger size and do the same process until you find the tips that seal up, and all the bass response will come flowing in. So do not panic if you put these in and there is very little bass response or they sound like an AM radio. It is not the monitors, it is a fit issue. The same as customs. So CP500 smalls, once you try them, if they're too loose, they just pull off, and then try a larger size tip. So just a little bit about these. This material is a nylon material. It is 3D printed on a $1 million printer. It's a rather fantastic new technology. These are very strong. There is a slight little bit of flexibility. You wouldn't notice, they seem really hard, but there is a little bit of flex in the nylon material, and that's a reason. So if you drop them on a concrete floor, they are not going to shatter. They are not going to break. If you throw them on, you step on them, this connection here at the MMCX, if it's at the wrong angle, that might break. We're talking drastic measures if you step on them. The nozzle is very strong. As you can see, it's an open canal to avoid wax and moisture issues. It's kind of a take on my Octave Tech from 7 or 8 years ago. All the drivers are embedded into the shell. There are no tubes. There are no dampers. There's lots of space for wax and moisture to be. Your drivers are safe. Use your cleaning tool. If you start to see wax and moisture in the nozzle, grab your cleaning tool from its locked in position. The cleaning tool will only go in so far. You will not touch the monitors, but you can clean all the wax from the nozzle if you start seeing it there. If you start seeing wax there, please remove it, because it'll eventually work its way down into the drivers. So keep an eye on it. Moisture is another thing. Just try to keep them dry. Moisture. What happens with moisture? You start to hear a bit of distortion eventually over time if it gets up into the drivers. But the nice thing is the driver ports are easily accessible. A hair dryer on, not on hot, a hair dryer on sort of warm, blowing a hair dryer into that nozzle on warm is totally fine. It'll evaporate some of the moisture in there if you start to hear some distortion over time in the drivers. That is not the drivers, it is moisture in the drivers. So yeah, it's all the same material. This is a vapor smoothed dyed black material, and we've decided to leave this gray because we like the contrast of the black and the gray with the logo. This gray will eventually, with hand moisture and stuff, it'll eventually start to turn like a dark gray and almost black. But if you take some rubbing alcohol and give it a wipe down, it'll go back to a nice shiny gray. It's just the nature of the material. As in other videos, I've showed how to remove the cable. The cable, just don't twist it. Give it a pull straight out. You'll hear the little snap. Put it back in. Line it up square. Push it in square. Don't try to bend it out. You might bend that pin off. Nice and straight out. You can wedge your fingers. Putting it back in. Wait for that snap. Wait for this. There it is. That nice snap. MMCX connectors do spin. Sometimes makes it a little confusing if you have your monitor like that and you're like, what's going on? The plunge logo always faces out. The cable goes up and over the ear. Yeah, and then putting them back in the case. See if I can do this. See if I can do this on the camera. I just hold as I would do for customs, I would hold the two monitors like that in my hand. Just loop, 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 loop. I always put them in this way. Drop the cable in, drop these around. Your monitors are in place. Make sure the cable isn't running across these hinges. These are meant to hold your monitors in place. Make sure everything's in. To close it, watch your fingers. I've had somebody already snap it, and when it snaps shut, it can grab your thumb there. So, just hold your fingers away from it, and you'll get that nice snap in place. Plunge Audio Universals, made in Canada. Yeah.